Hey, Marsha Grace here, your modern meditation mentor. It's Friday, the start of a holiday weekend here in the United States. It's Memorial Weekend, and we honor and remember all those who served for our country in the various, and it seems, never-ending wars that have gone on. And I maybe sound a little flip about it, but I'm not a fan of war, and I'll get into that in a second, but I do honor and respect everyone who has served, and I'll tell you why it particularly affects me in a moment. So yesterday, I was looking through, I was on my computer looking for something, and I came across the service that I wrote and performed at my father's funeral. He died in 2002, and I flew down to Florida where he lived with his wife to be, with the family and to perform the service as I had been asked. And so, you just do these things. It was my father, and there's a whole history there, which of course I'm not going to go into right now, but he served in World War II, and he was an aerial photographer. So he was up in the plains shooting pictures of the war theater. I think he was in the Pacific, yes, in the South Pacific, I do believe. I don't know a lot about it because I don't know. It's not something the family's really gotten into much of a conversation about. So anyway, he flew many missions, and he received numerous commendations and citations and what have you during the war. And then my Uncle Chester was also in the war, World War II. He was a bombardier. And I know practically nothing about his experience during the war. I do know what happened afterwards, and I'm going to tell you that in a minute. But anyway, so my father and my uncle, the two men closest really, who would have been or should have been closest to me in my life, weren't. And I blame it on the war. So war is hell. War is absolute hell. And anyone who says otherwise is a liar, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, it seems that it's a necessity. Maybe yes, maybe no. I know there are an awful lot of countries that have managed to stay out of wars and mind their own business and get along just fine. But okay, that's another story, and I'm not going to go there. But the reason that I personally have suffered as a result of World War II is because, number one, when my uncle came back, he was a mess. I mean, he knew he killed people. I mean, he was shooting bombs out of a plane. What else would he be doing, right? So he's killing people, and he knew it. And it changed his life. He became an alcoholic, and I watched him. When I was about maybe 14 or so, I stood at his bedside, and I watched him expire. I saw the death rattle and everything else. I'm sorry I'm talking about this right now. It's a sad situation, but I feel I really want to get this off my chest. And I watched him die, from alcoholism, cirrhosis of the liver, whatever, because of what that war did to him, to his mentality. As for my father, well, he also became an alcoholic, and although he was a functioning alcoholic for the most part, he was not a happy person. He and my mother had a big fight, or big fights or whatever, and again, I won't go into the details, but he and my mother were divorced when I was a baby. So I had no father. I had no father growing up. It was just me and my mom. And so again, I didn't have those two men who, men figures in my life who would have been there for me or should have been there for me, weren't. And so that's a painful thing in my particular past. And so I guess that's probably why I'm saying war is hell, because it does terrible things to people. Short of, it kills them, many of them, but it also brings them back home and they are changed individuals. And in those days, they called it PTSD, or I don't know they called it, I forget what they called it. But anyway, now, of course, it's called PTSD, and there are treatments for it. They didn't really have that in those days. And these men, and I guess there were some women, maybe not, who were damaged and unable to get their situations resolved. So that's my experience when I talk about Memorial Day. So you'll forgive me if you realize that for me, it's not really a very happy holiday. However, I know many people do celebrate and have barbecues, because usually the weather is good, and it's beautiful here on Long Island here this weekend. So it will be a perfect time to do all those kinds of family functions and being outside, taking walks, and doing all kinds of things. I have plans to do stuff and enjoy myself. So it is a good time to do just that. And I in no way, shape, or form denigrate anybody that serves in the military. I think it's, I honor those people, and I think they're very brave, and they're serving their country in the way they best know how. So that's a good thing. But war has its repercussions, and unfortunately, it seems like we're always in one war or another, and we don't really necessarily have to think about it too much because it's not happening on our patch of grass, right? We're not in the midst of bombs falling and sirens going off and having to jump into air raid shelters. So we're really not that cognizant necessarily. And yet I have friends who have family in Ukraine, and they tell me the stories of the bombings, and these are personal stories. These are people that I don't know, but I know the person that knows them, and for me that's very real. So again, what can I say? It's a holiday weekend, and I do believe we should celebrate and honor our veterans, and we should also enjoy the weather, no matter what you're doing. Enjoy the weekend and the idea behind the whole thing. The idea that that people are willing to give themselves to what they believe in very strongly, and that's a wonderful thing to honor. I totally honor that. And it's just, it wouldn't be me to do, to go to war, but then again, that's me. So I have absolutely no reservation when it comes to honoring our veterans. And I hope you too are going to do that and think of what they've given to us so that we could be where we are. And again, I appreciate that. And I just want to say, now that I've probably upset a few people, but I hope you will forgive me for stating my particular feelings. But it's a personal thing, and as war so often is, and so we're entitled to our opinions, right? And I hope we do honor each other's opinions, even if you don't believe or accept another person's opinion. I hope you do at least honor their right to have it, and go about your business. We don't have to be angry at each other because we don't agree. I think we can agree to disagree, and so that's, for me, is the way I live my life. I don't agree necessarily with everybody that says something to me, but I'm not going to fight about it, and I and as I said, I honor where people are. We've all had different life experiences that have led us to have different belief systems, and those are what we treasure and hold on to. So go out this weekend, enjoy the holiday, and remember that each of us has our gifts to offer, and the things that mean so much to us. And let's remember to share them and to use them in the best way possible, so that we can live together in peace. Peace is what's most important for me. Peace is where I come from, where I want to live, and I hope you feel that way too. All right. So many blessings. Have a beautiful weekend and a beautiful week ahead. And until next time, remember, everything begins with a thought. So please notice your thoughts, notice them, and release the ones that are causing you distress, right? Don't hold on to them. Let them go so you can enjoy yourself and be happy. All right? Okay. Until then, bye-bye for now.